Rah, we're here.
You did it.
We're back.
And another set change. What's going on?
Yeah, some decorating behind you this time. You know,
Mate,
we're still.
You should be an interior decorator, not a chemist.
Yeah, well, there's always a backup career when chemistry or Breaking Bad doesn't work out, then interior design it is.
Mate, another crazy week. What do we do? All this because some guy ate a bat.
Yeah, it's crazy. Some guy ate a bat and then here we are.
And now people are burning down 5G towers.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Conspiracies are right now.
They are. I like that one.
Yeah.
I don't like it because people are setting towers alight, but it's pretty crazy.
A lot of conspiracies floating around at the moment.
I'm a bit of a conspiracy guy. I've been flicking you a few. You're just writing them off or not even writing back to me.
Well, a lot of people just default to conspiracies.
Do you see they've identified the actual person that this all came from?
I don't know until I meet them.
They found out who it was.
What?
Carol Baskin.
I don't know. I'm not into the Tiger King. I'm the only person that hasn't watched it.
What?
Yeah.
I don't think you're missing much.
Mike Tyson's the original Tiger King. And that's the only Tiger King I respect.
I think the Tigers were scared of Mike Tyson. But yeah, I just watched it. Didn't live up to the hype.
What?
Just a bunch of hillbilly hicks that are just out for each other. Yeah, I think everyone's just bored and they're looking for something to watch.
Sounds like some good entertainment.
I'll get grilled for saying that too.
Yeah.
Tiger King's hugely popular right now.
Yeah.
Almost as popular as this podcast.
Yeah, almost. Last podcast was pretty good. I got some good feedback on the last one.
I know, it was fun.
Even some questions, which we'll get to a bit later.
We're enjoying it. Big episode today. Topic on mental health.
Yeah.
How are you surviving at home?
Surviving okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the longest you've ever been without training, like in the past?
Well, I've actually been training pretty hard. I actually listened to the advice that I was giving up in the last podcast. I've been sprinting, doing yoga, I've been doing kettlebells. So
how often are you sprinting?
Sprinting twice a week. Sprint more than twice a week is kind of ineffective, and but not the system by going too hard. But it's pretty good. How about you? Missing jiu-jitsu?
I am, but I'm enjoying the break that my body's getting. I've been doing a little bit at home with the family. But yeah, I feel $1 million. Since I haven't been training every night, my body's I feel like I'm 20 again.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm actually enjoying all this. It's horrible to say in this time, but I'm actually enjoying all this time with my family. I'm getting out every morning where I'd normally be driving 2 hours to work. I'm getting out, walking the pets, having some fun with the kids, and I actually get to see my wife now.
Yeah.
We're driving each other crazy. But I'm actually enjoying it. It's a bit of a reset in life.
The whole planet's kind of hit the reset button, and there's some good things that are coming out of this.
The first week, I was literally pacing around the house. I was like, I've got ADHD or something. I'm just obsessive compulsive walking around. And the second week, I've really settled into it. I'm enjoying it. I'm thinking, when things go back to normal, I'm actually going to struggle going back to the rat race of life. And I'm thinking,
true. Yeah.
I need to reevaluate what I'm doing because I'm actually enjoying right now. And I think this is definitely, I put a post up the other day, this has definitely proved to me that a lot of businesses can survive with people from working from home.
Yeah, and when we go back to normal, it's kind of time to think about what part of normal do you really want to go back to.
I know, it's going to be a different normal, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm working from home forever now.
The new normal. Well, I live close to the office, so I don't really have an excuse, but I'll try my best. Luckily, we've got permission to record the podcast in here. So.
I know. We're keeping our distance. We've measured it out.
Yeah. I can't lean forward any more past this point, but yeah, it's all good.
And Hal's here. He's been sneezing all morning, so...
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
But there's still heaps of people out and about. I sent you a picture on... There he goes, coughing again. We've all got it.
Don't even joke about that.
I went out for a drive on the weekend just to see... I like to just sort of see what everyone else is doing, what everyone else is up to. And I drove to a few different beach locations. Mate, I was so surprised with how many people are still out and about, just going about their life. There was a little cafe open at the beach. People lined up 50 deep to get takeaway, and they're all sitting around together in the car park or at the beach. So life is sort of still going on. I think people have settled in. And
it's pretty crazy because, we should be taking this social distancing thing pretty seriously until, we've got a vaccine, something that can help this out. Do you know there's a plant that can actually help prevent the spread of coronavirus?
Here we go.
It's called plant your ass on the couch. It's the only thing we have right now. So.
Wow. I thought you were going to come with something really technical then. You could have been like breaking something to the world. No, it's good advice. Good advice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's not much sports going on right now. So,
still a lot of sports news though.
A lot of sports news. And, we'll be touching on the topic of, getting your mind right, mental health. That's a big thing that's happening right now. Everybody's experiencing this existential angst.
Mate,
it's new to everybody.
People are going crazy, so it's probably a good time to talk about it. I think you'll find, like I said, I think on the last podcast, people's true colours will come out. Some people have settled into it and they're enjoying it. Some people are going nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've actually got a special guest today.
We do.
Our first ever special guest.
Be looking forward to that. Mental health. What is the official title of Lou?
Mental Health Clinician from Western Australia.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's a good mate of mine, and we go way back. But he's, he's right on the forefront of dealing with these issues, and he's going to give us a few tips a bit later.
Nice. Some tips to try and figure out, or for people who might be struggling with anxiety, depression, or just feeling a little bit lost or sad, or some tips to get through these weird times.
Exactly. And, when you talk about mental health, it's kind of sometimes gloom and doom, but it doesn't have to be, So I'm going to try to talk about a little bit of science as well. You put a scientific lens on something, it's kind of, makes you understand the why, so it's not so, dark and doom and gloom. So,
and for everyone listening, that doesn't think, I don't have a problem with mental health. We all have mental health.
Yeah.
We all need to take care of it, whether we are suffering with depression or anxiety or not at all. There's still different things that we can do to improve our mental health. So we'll touch on that later. But should we jump in and see what is happening, or what is news in sport? Because there's nothing happening, or maybe there is.
Well, speaking of nothing happening, different sports leagues are contemplating different ways of returning to their season or not at all. So, for example, Liverpool are talking about having their trophy awarded to them in court because they thought that they'd more or less locked up the Premier League season.
What are your thoughts on this? I think it's a shitty way to claim the trophy.
Do you know this? I know you're not too much into soccer, but do you know the background behind Liverpool and the Premier League?
They're killing it anyway. It was just a matter of
they're killing
formality.
It. But the thing is, Liverpool haven't won the Premier League since the inception of the Premier League. They're still one of the greatest teams in England because of what they've done over the years. But they've never won the Premier League since I've been watching it. And this was the year they were miles ahead, uncatchable, right? And
So how much was left in the season?
Basically, if they won 2 or 3 more games, that was it. And mathematically, nobody could catch them.
So they've got a good case, but it won't happen, I don't think.
Nah, and do you really want to win the Premier League? Do you really want to end your streak like that?
Not really.
I don't
It's
know.
a pretty...
I'm not saying that because I'm a Man United fan, but...
they probably deserve it, but...
They deserve to win it, but, do you really want to win it like that?
Nah.
Nah.
I wouldn't take it to court if it was my team.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, shit happens next year.
Exactly.
What else is going on, Hal?
Well, some sports are still running. Specifically the Belarusian Premier League.
Belarus?
Yeah.
Coming through the sports. I don't follow the Belarusian Premier League.
Oh, I thought you were about to, tell us some insights on what's happening over there.
The only person I know from Belarus is the MMA fighter Andrei Arlovsky.
Oh, yeah?
He's a Belarusian.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Well, they usually do pretty good in the Olympics and things, but I think, they're one of the few countries without strict lockdowns on sports, so...
There's only 12 people that live there.
There's probably more people there than New Zealand, but it's interesting because I jumped on the betting apps this weekend just to see, there's nothing to bet on, so what do they have?
That's when you know you got a gambling problem.
No.
You're trying to bet in times like this.
Well, you could bet on the Perth weather. It was like you can bet on the decimal after the degree, whether it's going to be odd or even. That's the extent that these betting apps have got to. So.
Well, yeah, so that's still going on. Belarus is still, they're talking about, I saw something come out yesterday, they're talking about potentially the next UFC fight might happen in Belarus. It's like a plan B with Khabib and Tony.
Yeah.
And you just saw something just before the show, breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. There's some kind of report that this fight might be happening, and Khabib, Dana White just spoke to Vladimir Putin, might get a special, visa into the US, but apparently that's not true. And according to Dana White, the card is happening, but could be bizarre. So
by the time this podcast drops, they would have announced it, but apparently it's some big mega card, and Dana White's not sharing any of the info.
Yeah, so I saw, Woodley put up something yesterday about he's pretty keen to
fight Covington.
So we'll see.
It should be interesting.
I'm so keen for that.
The whole world will be watching this next UFC. There's nothing else for us to watch.
Yeah, there's WrestleMania on last weekend. WWE.
Those guys are immune to everything, aren't they?
Yeah, well,
they're on every chemical in the world.
When they said all sports are banned, I guess it's not a sport, so it's entertainment. But
true. What are they doing without a crowd though?
I don't know. I don't watch it, but apparently WrestleMania is a big deal. Lots of people tune in, so it's as close as you can get to big sporting events.
True. What other sports are happening? Is there anything else?
Jon Jones has been arrested for a DUI and gun possession.
So this happened this week. It's already gone to trial. He's already received his punishment. So Jon Jones, for those that don't know, greatest UFC fighter of all time probably, had a bit of a troubled past with DUI incidents and drug incidents and banned substances, and he's been stripped of the title a couple of times.
Yeah, so he's got a bit of a bad relationship with the bottle. Let's put it that way. And
did you hear what he was doing though?
Huh?
They found him in his car. The car wasn't on or running or anything. Drunk. I think he was parked in a street, and he said he was talking to homeless people. And the reason why the police got onto it is because they heard gunshots. And he got reported somehow that gunshots were coming from the vehicle. When they got there, they found a gun in the car and empty shells on the ground.
Oh shit!
And he was drunk.
Damn. Yeah. Well,
But
I saw some of the body cam footage, and he wasn't too bad, but he's definitely not in a condition to drive.
he had a not that it was an excuse, but he said, "Oh, look, I'm not going to be very good at it." They do a different sort of roadside test than us. It's like a
like walk the line kind of thing.
walk the line. So he was trying to do that, and as he was saying that, he said, "Look, I get punched in the head for a job, so bear that in mind as well." But apparently he was drunk.
Yeah.
It's gone to court already. He got like a 4-day house arrest or something and a fine.
Something like that, but we don't know what kind of implications that'll have, in the ring.
No.
He was already, on walking on glass. So
Yeah, well, the last couple of opponents have gotten pretty close to him, so I don't know, when you're the greatest, you got to find some inspiration, motivation from somewhere. It's probably getting harder and harder for him. He's that good.
he is. So
What else is happening, Hal?
Australia cricket captain Tim Payne was robbed while setting up a home gym.
You see this? So Tim Payne, the Australian cricket captain, was obviously they're all knocked down. So he took his cars out of his garage to set up his home gym within his garage, parked the cars out in the street, and while he was setting up, a whole heap of stuff was stolen out of his car.
that's ridiculous.
People are getting desperate.
Yeah, I know we haven't, descended into anarchy just yet, but this is crazy. How can
I'm
you
ready
do
for anarchy.
it? I don't know if I'm ready.
You're a lover.
I'm a lover, not a fighter, but if worst comes to worst, gotta hold my own, gotta do what you gotta do.
Pretty crazy. The time when we should all be coming together, all looking out for each other, and then you got people stealing things out of people's cars. It's pretty ordinary.
Yeah.
So shout out to Tim. Feel sorry for him.
Yeah, I'm sure
He'll be okay there.
he'll be okay, but he's just like everybody else out there trying to get their workout in, setting up your home gym. I've seen some pretty funky home gym setups.
Have you seen? For anyone who doesn't know, on our Instagram page, we had Mitch Creek, an NBA, NBL basketballer and Musashi athlete, take over our Instagram, and he's doing some pretty crazy workouts at home.
Yeah,
He's got assault bikes. He's got punching bags, and he's putting himself through some grueling workouts.
yeah, he's definitely putting in the work. I've been following him pretty closely. But,
There's been video footage of vomit and everything. He's going very hard.
Yeah, go hard or go home. Well, you're stuck at home, so you might as well go hard.
That's it. His knee looks like it's healing up okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to have all of our Instagram, or all of our athletes take over Instagram over the next 4 weeks. So stay tuned on our Instagram page. I think up next we've got Maddie Ryan, then we've got Ellie Blackburn, Cameron Munster, and then Rob Whittaker all taking over our Insta just to show you what they're up to throughout the day, training, hanging with family, and doing a bit of a live Q&A. So that should be cool. Stay tuned on Instagram. What else is going on, Hal?
The NRL has proposed a best-of-3 game final when the season recommences.
So I think they're still trying to figure out when the season's kicking off, but they're pushing now, like to make it happen.
Yeah, it's hard to know because everything's still up in the air at the moment. But just the 3-game final, I kind of like these extended final series. If you watch the NBA, these best of 7 final series are pretty good battles.
I think it's a good way to actually see who the best team is. Like anyone on any given day can just have a shit day. There's so many times where you come into work and you go, I'm not into it today. Yeah. And then the next day you might come in fired up. So I like the idea of the best of 3. It works with the state of origin, builds that up. They're all going through sort of negotiations at the moment as well for pay cuts. So it's quite interesting. A lot of the clubs have laid off a whole stack of people. They're operating basically on skeleton staff.
Yeah.
A lot of the players are not too happy about taking pay cuts, but I guess they don't have a choice.
Yeah. And a best of 3 final will actually, triple the final revenue. So
it's not a bad idea. I saw some resort up in Queensland has offered to house. They can actually house in this resort up to 1,500 people. So they were talking about taking every NRL team, putting them in this resort, and basically sheltering them from each other, and basically going on lockdown in this resort, and then shuttling the teams out to a couple of stadiums up in Queensland to get the season kicked off again. Yeah. So I don't know if that's going to progress or what, but I just thought that was an interesting offer from the resort up there.
Yeah, modern problems require modern solutions, so it'll be pretty interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, definitely. What else has happened, Hal?
Lamelo Ball, the 18-year-old NBA player, has bought his former team, the Atlanta Hawks. No, not the Atlanta. Sorry, the Illawarra Hawks.
Illawarra Hawks. So he played in the NBL, yeah.
Yeah. So, but he's a hot prospect to be the number 1 draft pick next year in the NBA.
Yeah. So like top 5 draft pick, probably number 1. Probably that's a pretty cool thing to do. He's probably just getting a stack of money thrown at him from an NBA team, and good way to support a team that helped bring you up and get you ready for the big leagues, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And there's actually a few NBA players that are interested in the NBL at the moment. They're trying to figure out that Australia's doing it all right.
I think the NBL made a real comeback this year. I think a good broadcast deal would propel them. I think so many people are back interested in basketball now, and I remember the glory days of Australian basketball, and it feels like it's coming back. So I think it depends what teams are winning. Whenever the Kings are doing well, the NBL seems to do well. It'd be interesting to see what happens next season.
Yeah, and the other side of it is all these teams in all these different sports are facing all this financial stress from losing their broadcasts, and nobody's watching sports right now. So if it takes an 18-year-old to buy a team to keep it alive or take it to the next level when the league restarts, then good on it.
I've invested in a team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Hal's under 12 C grade team.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I got them some sipper bottles.
Hal's the number 1 draft pick, under 13.
Still growing.
Yeah.
We almost won our grand final the other week.
But, he's 6'9" now. He's only 6'8" last week.
Wow, when will it end?
Yeah.
When I hit puberty.
What are you aiming for?
7 foot.
Nice. You'll get there.
Yeah. Cheers.
Keep drinking those Musashi protein shakes.
Yeah.
Of course.
What else is going on? Hal, is that it or is there more?
Last one. Melbourne Storm's Christian Welch calls out seniors in isolation, offering a helping hand via phone call.
I didn't see this. What's this about?
Yeah, so Christian Welch, one of the Storm players.
Yep.
Storm's one of the teams we support with Musashi over here. Well, he's been calling people in isolation. Loneliness is a real thing, especially for older people that might not have social media. And younger people can still connect with the world.
So he's just calling random old people in nursing homes or just at home?
Yeah, just calling them for a yarn.
What, going through the yellow pages or something? Or?
No, well, he put out a tweet saying, tag anybody that needs a call and I'll give them a call.
That's so good.
That's such a good thing to do.
I know.
Yeah.
It's I wish all young people listen to me, sound ancient, but I wish everyone did something like that.
Yeah, but
I think it's a good motivator for us all to just pick up the phone and have a chat to someone that we might have not spoken to in a long time. I had an hour-long chat this morning with a mate of mine. Normally we have a 4 or 5 minute chat here and there. We couldn't stop talking to each other this morning. We had so much to say. So yeah, that's a pretty cool initiative.
I'm the same. I've been on video calls, Skype and whatnot this weekend for so many hours, just connecting with people. And if you're an old guy in isolation and not many people to talk to, imagine getting a call from Christian Welch. And if you're a Storm fan, this just takes it to the next level.
Pretty cool initiative, and it gives them something to do, I guess, while they're waiting for the season to kick off again.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see when the season does kick off again. It's going to be interesting to see these guys are going to have to stay on top of their fitness and their strength, their conditioning, their skills. I wonder what they're doing from home.
Yeah, and everybody probably has a different approach, So obviously they'll be getting some advice from their trainers and things, but still got to do the work.
I know, and I guess it's a good test for the people that are really committed and the slackers that normally sort of just cruise by on talent.
Yeah. So
there's no cruising by in these times.
No, not at all. Well, this Christian Welch story is a good segue into our main topic of the day.
Mental health.
Mental health, getting your mind right, then the link between exercise and, physical well-being and mental well-being.
Well, normally people attribute exercise to weight loss, strength gain, performance, muscle gain. Those things actually take years and years to achieve or to maintain. The mental health benefits of exercise are instant.
Yeah.
They're basically instant. So, and people don't normally attribute exercise to that. It's normally to an aesthetic thing or a performance thing. But I actually think the mental health benefits of exercise are more linked than the other aesthetic things. So yeah, it's an interesting topic, and it's something that we're all dealing with at the moment.
Yeah. And, it's a very complicated topic. The brain is the most complex structure known to mankind, right? It's one of the big unknowns in biology. And we could really be out of our depth talking about something like this here. But, I'm going to touch on some of the neurotransmitters and things just so people have a basic understanding. But we do have an expert to give us some tips and tricks on what to do.
We do.
Yeah. So this is my good mate, Lou.
Big
Lou from Western Australia. So he's a mental health clinician, and he works with people, with all kinds of ailments, depression, anxiety, and things like that. So
there is a different range of what people consider as mental health. So you've got depression, anxiety, stress, just general sadness, self-esteem, self-confidence.
When we talk about physical health, it's kind of black and white, and mental health is similar. It's not just one thing; it's everything, right?
Mm.
So Lou's just going to give us some tips, some hints, and
try to dial Lou in now and get him up on the big screen.
Yep.
See if he's available.
There he is.
Hey
guys.
Lou.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Lou and I, we go way back. He's also South African Indian like me, but known him for good part of my life. Actually, Lou's nickname is Ross.
Ross.
Yeah, like
amazing.
Yeah. Well, actually, we call him the Brown Ross from Friends. I don't know if you can see it.
I can definitely see it now.
I still don't see the connection, but I go with it. I accept it.
And is that a Liverpool jersey that you're wearing there today?
There's a Liverpool jersey. Ooh.
Yeah, still hopeful of something coming out of the season, or what do you say?
Yeah, I was listening to what you guys were saying about it, winning it through court and stuff, and to be honest, as a Liverpool fan, it's probably not the best way, or the way that I'd want to win it. Undoubtedly, we'll still want to win the title, but probably not in that kind of way.
Yeah, so very interesting take. And Lou's a proper Liverpool fan. He's been to Anfield. He's he's been bragging this whole season. Well, it's kind of a shame that nothing's going to come out of it.
You won't have your time in the sun this time around, Lou.
Yeah.
So Lou is from Western Australia, so it is a few hours behind there. So I appreciate you calling in. It's not that early, is it?
No, it's 10 to 10 years, so not too bad a time. But
so you're still at work?
Yeah, just started. And we're still going, interestingly enough. So I work for St. John Court Community Mental Health Service. So we actually, we're a face-to-face counselling service. And ultimately, in the whole lot of COVID-19, we've actually had to move our service from a face-to-face counselling service to a telephone counselling service. So I think a lot of mental health services have had to sort of adapt to this new way of being, really. But a whole lot of silver linings and from it, really, in terms of
So
being
you-
able to reach out to people that otherwise wouldn't, and also keeping up with times as well.
So you've got all your existing sort of clients that you're still dealing with. Have you guys started to take on a whole heap of new people that are struggling with being in self-isolation? And
Yeah, you know what? So far, we actually haven't seen an increase in referrals. Well, firstly, I think GPs are probably swamped at the moment. So, dealing with, the more kind of prioritized things. But I think we will be seeing that shortly. I think especially in this current times, I think you see particularly anxiety. It's massive in the community and society at the moment, particularly more so now. And the way I see it is that, the anxiety kind of occurs on sort of two fronts, in that, there's anxiety around contracting COVID-19 or a loved one contracting COVID-19, or it's the anxiety more related around the social aspects or social losses, loss of income, loss of job, or just a whole lot of uncertainty as to what's happening.
Existential angst.
Yeah. And it's pretty tough times, but I'm sure that I think the most important thing really is for people to sort of, I guess, be in the moment, which I'll probably touch on in a bit later, because we can't really sort of we can't have this really get to us.
so when someone sort of when you're talking to someone, there's sort of obviously there's a whole heap of different mental health issues. Are you guys trying to identify, hey, is this just mild anxiety, or is this some sort of form of clinical depression, or is there some sort of evaluation process that you go through with people to identify what their form of mental health or what they're struggling with?
Well, I think like the diagnosis part comes before they get to Lou. So
Right.
Lou really is, the guy that gives them the tips and, the counseling to kind of get them through this. And, it's hard to, put labels on things as
Right.
well. There's so many things that happen in mental health. So.
Yeah, definitely. It is hard to label, and it is hard for people that depression is one that if you don't suffer from it, you can almost, it's horrible to say, but you could almost think, well, what is this? Is this some made up thing? I don't understand it. I'm never sad. I'm fine. So unless you're actually dealing with some of these issues, you can't really, or you're someone that speaks to people that are suffering with these issues daily, you can't really give advice and tips if you're not someone that suffers from any of these.
Yeah, exactly. So, say somebody comes to you, Lou, and, they're suffering from depression, anxiety. What are some things that they can do, and what are some tips that you can give them?
So typically some of the, sometimes people come to me thinking that, I'm some kind of genius, or that I've got a magic wand, and that somehow there's this rocket science of what I can actually offer, or behind what I do. And ultimately there's no sort of rocket science behind it. And I think, like you guys have touched earlier as well, in terms of physical health, and I think it's really just doing the basics, and it's those basic self-cares that we sometimes neglect. Look, 2020 and life is pretty full on, and there's so much to, we're just so busy being busy that we often forget to, I guess we forget about those basics, basic self-cares. And when I talk about self-cares, I'm talking about things like, balanced diet, which you guys would have touched on, exercise, just being a key, sleep, it's so important to actually have sleep, and whether it's 7 to 8 hours a night, it's incredibly important that we actually able to regulate that sleep.
So what about people that have got sort of clinical depression, right? And I know people like this, so I sympathise with them. They're in bed in the morning, and they're just saying they're that sort of, I just don't want to get out of bed. I know what I need to do. I know I need to exercise. I know I need to eat well. I know I need to sort of do positive things and speak to positive people and do things that uplift me, but I'm just stuck in bed. Like what can you do in a typical day to kick off the day? I think that's where people struggle the most, is to start their day. Once the sort of day gets rolling.
Yeah.
Like I know what I do to get going in the day. I'll quickly read in bed in the morning something positive. I might listen to some uplifting music. I'll have my day planned out so I know what I'm doing at each time. But this is someone that I don't suffer from these things the way some people do. So, yeah, is there something that people can do to kick off their day to set the momentum for the day?
Yeah, and it's such an important sort of fact that you brought up, and it's that motivation, it's that drive that is a common symptom amongst people with depression. What helps, and actually, believe it or not, it's as simple as get out of bed. Get out of bed and just get out. Whether it's just soaking some sunshine, going for a walk, or even just eating breakfast. So many of us just sort of forget to just do that. And I think in many ways it's doing things that are healthy. Mindfulness, meditation, incredibly helpful. Definitely think about doing a podcast episode on that. I think that'll be brilliant.
Oh, we'll definitely get there.
I think meditation is huge, and it's a good way to kick off the day. Start by sort of, it sounds cheesy, it sounds corny, but these things help. Like make, in your own mind, make a list of all the things that you're grateful of. Then go into some meditation. Then maybe listen to some uplifting music and sort of just get yourself going for the day. Ring someone that you know is always like a positive influence, or is always upbeat, or sort of surround yourself with those types of people. And I know it's hard. I've heard people say, look, no matter what I do, I'm just stuck in bed. I have those days where I just don't feel like doing anything. But it's like they know what I need to do, and I know that if I get up and I go for a walk, I'm going to feel amazing. I know if I listen to some cool music, it's going to make me feel better, but it's almost like turning that switch on.
It's almost like focusing on the little things, just being present in the moment, doing one thing at a time, listen to music, go for do some exercise, eat a healthy meal. All these things have a benefit.
Definitely. And I think that's super important, doing one thing at a time. A lot of people look at everything they have to do and they get overwhelmed. They think, I have to get to work, I have to run the kids to school, I have to get the shopping done, I have to do all this stuff for work, then I have to go and just tackle one project at a time. If the first project is getting out of bed, then have that. I like lists. I'm a bit of a nerd for lists, and just check them off throughout the day. I don't look 10 steps ahead. I look at what's next on the list. I go and execute that, and then once that's done, move on to the next thing. But it's easy to say when we're not suffering from these things. So I don't want people to think that we're judging people, or we're saying it's that easy just getting out of bed. But there's definitely some things you can do.
Yeah. There's even a Miyamoto Musashi quote that applies in this situation, right? Step by step, walk the 1,000-mile road,
And that
one step at a time.
Might be one little step forward.
It's not a quote of the day. We do have some more Musashi wisdom coming up in a bit, but yeah, there's plenty of gems in there. So.
And as far as, I probably didn't want to bring this up, but I'm going to. A lot of people, and I know people, have gone into doctors sort of saying that I'm feeling sad, I'm not feeling myself, or something wrong with my hormones, or I just feel depressed. Doctors are pretty quick these days to throw people on antidepressants, medication, without exploring all the other avenues first. So what should people explore first before they get to that sort of last resort of medication?
Yeah. And look, controversial, but to be honest, I've worked in mental health for the last 11 years now, and I was never someone that was pro medication, and probably it's that same belief that you don't need medication to to be happy or to feel less anxious. But in actual fact, over my time working in mental health services, I've come to quite sort of appreciate the medication as a form of treatment. And there are those cases where someone like you described may be profoundly depressed, and where they just can't get to doing those basics. we're waking up in the morning, like you described, Ross, we're getting up in the morning actually is something that they can't do. It's easy to say, for me to say, hey, get out of bed and start doing things and be appreciative and mindful. But for some people, it is incredibly difficult to do that. And I think that's where medication comes in and plays its part. But of course, it's not just medication. It should be, adjunct treatments, for example, physical activity and things like that.
So how often, like say someone presents with a mental health issue, how often you guys sort of speaking to that person? Is it a daily thing? Is it a weekly thing? Or is it just sort of on individual case?
Yeah, look, so for me, my current role, it's probably like a fortnightly basis to 3 weekly. And undoubtedly, there's a lack of resource in terms of mental health that's significant. It is a bit of an elephant in the room often, and that, it's brilliant. Government's coming to the party in terms of recognizing that people's mental health is going to be significantly impacted in these current times. So have, injected a whole lot of money into mental health, domestic violence as well, interestingly enough, or likely or it's assumed that will be on the rise.
It's an interesting topic because I actually know someone that works with domestic violence victims, and they've already seen a spike since COVID has come out. People in self-isolation, they're actually getting more and more cases of domestic violence. So people are losing their shit. People are suffering from anxiety. Like, what is the main form of mental health issue that people present with to you guys? Is it sort of depression, or is it just mild anxiety?
Yeah, look, probably the most common one that we see is anxiety. And anxiety, it's people sometimes get quite confused about what anxiety actually is, and it cops a pretty bad name these days. But anxiety in the sort of in the premise, it actually isn't a bad thing. Anxiety is actually a way of helping us to I guess solve a problem, if you wish. It's kind of like a warning bell that says, something's going on, you need to act. And we get that from our sort of caveman
fight or flight response.
Yeah. We evolved from that, and that it's that warning sign that goes off that, here's a life-threatening situation, here's a saber-toothed tiger that's going to kill me, so I need to do something. And you fast forward to 2020, and there's no saber-toothed tiger, yet we perceive every day-to-day stresses as being life-threatening situations. Our body reacts in exactly the same way. Interestingly, talking about the physical health things, like or the physical components to anxiety, it's that the sweaty palms, or the restlessness in your legs, and all of those things, the increased heart rate, and all of those good things. It's pretty uncomfortable. And sometimes people present thinking that, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack or something, help me. And that's because really your body is being told that, here's a life-threatening situation. You need to either fight this beast or run for your bloody life. And we think, what are we running from? What are we actually going to fight?
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people that suffer from anxiety, a lot of the scenarios that they're anxious about haven't actually happened to them. Yeah. And I'm someone that probably suffers from some sort of mild anxiety. I'm always thinking...
everybody does.
Yeah, I'm always thinking, oh shit, what happens if I lose my job? And it's ridiculous. Like, I've been here for 14 years, but it's constantly, for me, it drives me. This constant anxiety in life is what keeps me motivated. It's what keeps me sort of making sure that I'm doing my best at work, or I'm training my hardest that I can. But for some people, anxiety can be crippling. And with anxiety, it's like, it could be something that just hasn't even happened. It's just something you're thinking, you're fabricating, to the point where you're getting that worked up about it. So I think, again, it keeps coming back to just live in the moment. Look around, like, especially times like now, feels like the whole world's crashing down. But hey, I'm actually sitting at home with my family. I'm in a safe house. I've got a roof over my head. I've still got access to food and toilet paper. Let's not go crazy
Don't
here.
know about the toilet paper.
So sometimes it is just sort of taking a breath, reassessing, and calming yourself, which is easier said than done. But yeah, a lot of people are sort of fabricating anxiety as well.
Yeah.
Nah,
But I like what you said, Dee, before. Sorry, I liked what you said, Dee, before about the world's kind of on reset at the moment, and it's got a nice sort of analogy because to me and I've been using that as a bit of an analogy with the people that I'm working with, and that sometimes we forget, like I said, we're so busy being busy in 2020 that we forget about those little things. And I think more than ever, like just over the last 2 weekends, just being whipping out the Monopoly and pretty intense stuff there and emotional. But you forget about those small little joys in life that really give us this, give us a sense of sort of fulfillment and meaning really in our lives. And it is the smaller things in life that make the biggest difference. Being grateful for what we have right now, like Ross, you talked about is having a job right now. It's so sort of we just have so much to be grateful for. So it's a whole lot of silver linings from these current circumstances in the world. But I think it is a bit of a reset button in that it's a gentle reminder to start focusing again on some of those smaller things. In the here and now, really.
That's it. And the smaller things might be taking your dog for a walk, getting some fresh air, playing a board game with your kids. Definitely not Monopoly though. That is the most heartbreaking game to play with a child. I played Chinese checkers last night with my kids.
Oh, nice.
Got hammered. My kids are so much better. But yeah, simple things like that, connecting with your family, calling loved ones, doing simple projects around the house. It is a reset, and it is a bit of it's almost like we've been forced to just stop and take a breath and reassess our lives, the whole planet all at once.
Yeah. I
think you're going to get two types of people, the people that go crazy and the people that actually embrace this and go, hey, there's something to this simpler life. Why I feel bad, but I'm actually enjoying it. And I'm definitely in that boat. I'm enjoying the extra time with my family and doing those simple things like walking the dog in the morning when normally I'm stuck in traffic for 2 hours.
Yeah, and right now there's not many better places to be on Earth than Australia and New Zealand, for example. I've been keeping tabs on what's happening in other countries, and it's pretty intense, right? So
it is. We were just looking at a video of in India, people that are out walking the streets. The police are actually hitting them with sticks.
Yeah. Well, in other countries, it's worse than that. Okay?
Yeah, I know.
So, they're throwing people in jail and things. So,
They're finding people here, though. Did you see that guy in Newcastle that went to get a kebab? And he was standing out front of the kebab shop and got fined by the police.
Can't be eating kebabs at this time. Come on.
It was his excuse. He was going for a run and needed a kebab mid-run.
See, this is why you need Musashi intro workout. No kebabs mid-run.
No. Yeah, so some crazy stuff. I think So, summarise, it's basically take one step at a time, be grateful.
Focus on the now.
Be grateful, keep a routine, whether you're sort of working from home or whether you've lost your job or you're temporarily out of work, make the most out of a terrible situation. Keep a routine, This whole thing, there's a whole lot of uncertainty in terms of this coronavirus. But, it's not going to last forever. That anxiety that exists in all of us, it's not going to last forever, unless you're a Man United fan. Linger on a bit.
We'll come back.
But I think there's a certain degree of sort of settling in or sort of making room for some of those difficult feelings and emotions that you're feeling, and just acknowledging it, being an observer that notices what's going on. I'm feeling really uneasy right now. I've just seen something on the news in a different country, or there's a whole lot of things that trigger us. But just being able to acknowledge that and do something about it, that's the most important thing. and focusing on the here and now. That just being mindful of what's happening right now.
Sweet. Legend, Lou. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate your time, Lou.
I appreciate it a lot.
All the best
thank
of
you
you,
guys.
mate. Stay safe.
Thrilled to be your first guest on the show. So big fan, and look forward to more.
Mate, we'll definitely touch base again in the near future. You've been great and appreciate your time, and stay safe over there, and talk next time.
Thanks, Ross, and thanks, Ross.
Take care, guys. Catch you later.
See you, Lou.
See you, Lou.
Cheers, Lou. Thanks.
So it's good to definitely good to have someone within the mental health industry to sort of give us some ideas and tips on what we need to do.
Yeah, some real insights into, and one of the things when I was speaking to Lou this weekend, he was saying, for some people, COVID-19 isn't even anything. Some people are so deep into anxiety and depression that, it's just another thing that they have to deal with.
They're the people burning down the 5G towers.
I don't know about that, but
it's so exercise for mental health. They are very, very closely linked.
Yeah.
And this is something I've actually got into, not arguments, but sort of deep discussions with people that have suffered with mental health issues. I'm always that guy that's like, fix your nutrition, get in some exercise before you go relying on sort of pharmaceutical drugs. And I know they play their part, and it's probably all part of a program that people need to get better or feel better. But someone that exercises every day, and I do suffer from a little bit of anxiety, I'm a little bit OCD or ADHD, I've just got too much energy or pent up anxiety, so I need to exercise. I can recognize if I go a few days without exercise, I'm starting to need that release, or I'm missing that feel-good feeling of exercise. What is that feel-good feeling that we get when we exercise?
Yeah, so there's a good phrase I like. It's called psychology is biology, right? So a lot of psychologists use this phrase, and it comes down to things called neurotransmitters, right? So maybe we can touch on that a little bit. I'm definitely no expert when it comes to neurotransmitters and neuroscience. Like I said, the brain is the most complex structure known to mankind, and nobody's really an expert. I'm not an expert on anything. I know a thing or two about a thing or two, and amino acids are one of the things that I know a little bit about. So I'll talk about how some amino acids and neurotransmitters can help, right? So picture this, right? You're sleeping in your bed, dozing off, about to fall into a nice dream state. Then you hear a loud bang, right?
It's my kids.
Get up, grab your samurai sword, right? Like you're ready to chop some dudes up, right? Without even analyzing this audio input, right? You've suddenly shifted from the most calming thing you can do to, kill a person mode, right? Basically, like, you don't know if it's an intruder in your house, whatever, right?
Mm.
Like,
I do have swords beside my bed. Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was the only one. So. But yeah, so basically what's happening here is, it's your neurotransmitters, and it's what's going on in your brain. So talking about anxiety, depression, and moods and things like that, it doesn't have to be this big, this big elephant in the room, like Lou put it. Breaking it down into the chemistry and understanding it a little bit can help your understanding of it, and help you figure out what's kind of going on inside there.
So neurotransmitters play a big part. What is that? What is the? I know you've sort of got the bro science term is like runner's high when you finish exercise, and I get this obviously after weight training and going for a walk, but mostly I get this after jiu-jitsu, right? I've just spent 40 minutes rolling, and then after class you've got a bundle of energy. You almost feel euphoric. You sit around and talk to everyone for another extra hour. You're just on this weird high. What is that?
Yeah, so one way to think about it is to break it down to the simplest level, right? So what's going on in your brain? You've got these things called neurons, right? It's like the cells of your brain. How they communicate with each other is through these things called neurotransmitters, right? These are like chemical messengers. They communicate like a lock in a key, right? They're floating around in your brain. But there's over 100 different types of neurotransmitters, right? What happens, in that example that I gave before, there's the neurotransmitter called serotonin. It's related with happiness and calmness in your mood. So when you're falling asleep, your serotonin is being converted into melatonin. And suddenly you get this audio input. Without processing it, your brain initiates this fight or flight response, and that's from your excitatory neurotransmitters, right? So
neurotransmitters can evoke different responses.
Yeah. So your motion and your emotion comes from your neurotransmitters, right? Like when I say amino acids are life, they're basically your thoughts, your feelings, and your movements, right? So you have many different types of neurotransmitters, right? And even your endorphins, your hormones, can affect what's going on in your brain. So we'll try and break it down into some of the more simple forms, right? So if you think of exciting neurotransmitters, excitatory neurotransmitters, these are things that rev you up, right? Typically norepinephrine, or in America, noradrenaline, and other things like glutamine, right? Then you've got inhibitory neurotransmitters, things that chill you out, things that rev you up, things that chill you out. So something called gamma aminobutyric acid, and serotonin, right? Serotonin also helps to chill you out. But then you've got these other neurotransmitters, which can act as both, right? Both excitatory and inhibitory. So if you think of dopamine, right? Think of dopamine as pleasure and reward, right? So some people out there are dopamine junkies,
So these like your extreme sport people, is that what they're after, that dopamine hit?
Well, everybody gets dopamine hits from all kinds of things. And, one of the problems with society right now is that all these dopamine hits have been removed from your life. Watching sports gives you a dopamine hit. Going to church gives you a dopamine hit. Partying, going out clubbing, that's the search for dopamine, right?
Yeah.
All
it used to be a different search for me. I was searching for something else, but yeah.
Maybe without the amine, but.
Oh no!
Just kidding. Just play. But there's another,
So we're constantly getting dopamine hits throughout the day, and some people seek it.
Exactly, and people like me are dopamine junkies as well. I go to the gym, feel good, I'm craving that pleasure reward that you're getting from the gym.
Can you get over stimulated? Like, can you have too much dopamine release, and what does that do?
You can, and this is where things like drugs,
Right.
that's where the extremes of neurotransmitters are, witnessed, where what drugs do to your brain.
So is your body trying to counteract the dopamine by trying to bring you back down or level you out?
Let's not go to that
Okay.
level yet. Like, let's just stick to the chemical level. So and then there's acetylcholine, right? So this is what causes your muscle action and learning and memory and things like that. Dopamine is also linked to attention and emotion. So all of this also comes back to your diet and your exercise, right? How can your diet and your exercise influence all these chemicals in your brain, right? Well, if you focus on two of the neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin. Dopamine comes from the amino acid tyrosine, and serotonin comes from the amino acid tryptophan, right? So when you if everything's going well, tryptophan gets converted to serotonin. You've got abundance of serotonin in your brain, and you're happy. Everything's all good. A few things can throw this out, right? So if you have a diet that's high in sugar, this is going to create some inflammation in your body. What inflammation does is, all of your serotonin is stored in your gut.
That's the thing that people don't realize. Like,
it's holistic.
Gut health is so important for mental health, and it's probably the first place people should start. If you've got a mental health issue, I always say get your gut right.
Yeah, definitely. And diet plays a massive part. So sugar is causing this inflammation, and what it does is it causes the tryptophan. The ingredient that gets converted to serotonin. It gets used for other things, right? It's dealing with this inflammation, the stress in your body from a poor diet, and tryptophan's getting converted into something called quinolinic acid, and that's actually a neurotoxin, right? So it's not only reducing the serotonin, it's actually giving this toxin to your brain. So it's working on two ends. That if you're having a bad diet, it's you're not giving yourself the best chance, right? Mm-hmm. Despite everything you can do when it comes to the tangible tips that Lou just gave us. If your diet and your exercises are not right, you're definitely not giving yourself the best chance. What exercise can do, on the other hand, is exercise can help you get rid of these waste products and actually make tryptophan into your brain. Tryptophan competes with other amino acids and things like that when it comes to transport into your brain. But getting this tryptophan into your brain from exercise is what's gonna make sure you have enough serotonin in there as well.
So people that aren't doing any exercise and probably have a poor diet, they're just not getting this hit of dopamine.
So it's working on the chemical level of actually biochemically getting this serotonin right in your brain, but also the dopamine hit of exercise itself. Exercise has immediate tangible benefits.
You notice it instantly.
You do exercise, you feel good straight away. It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
Right. It's just the act of doing it.
And what about, I keep coming back because I have had a debate with someone that has depression that is basically bedbound.
Yeah.
Is it walk to the end of your street as a starting point and back to your house? Just anything to get started?
Well, I'm kind of out of my depth here when it comes to talking about, severe depression and stuff. But, step by step, walk the 1,000-mile road. That's what Miyamoto Musashi said.
Yeah.
It's the little things that you kind of have to do.
So it's just attacking it slowly and in little steps.
Yeah. But like I said, exercise can help on this multi-pronged approach. It's helping you at the lowest level of biochemically, right? And then it's helping you a level above that you're getting this instant pleasure of you just completed something hard.
Yeah.
It's rewarding. So you're getting this dopamine. Then on the higher level, exercise is it's putting the plans in place. You're doing your shit.
It's creating discipline in your life and routine, definitely. Another thing people do say is everything. I think this is a mental health issue as well. They sort of push exercise aside, and it's like all the stars need to align for me to go out and do a workout. You know what I mean? I have to have everything sorted, right? Everything's in place in my life. Now I can go and do some exercise.
Yeah, I don't have time.
I don't have time, or I don't feel like it right now, or just.
Yeah.
Again, I keep coming back. Make it like an appointment. No matter how you feel, no matter what mood you're in, at that time, you're going to do exercise.
Yeah, and then there's all these people out there, everybody has their haters. Some people are like, if I had as much time as you, I'd be as jacked as you. If I had so much time, I'd be fit. You have the time now. Go do it.
Everyone.
I know you can do it. I'm not doubting that you can't do it.
It's probably the biggest excuse that we hear, and we do a lot of the fitness shows and things like that. And people rock up to the fitness show and they're looking for the latest and craziest weight loss supplement. It's like, okay, and then you start to delve deep. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing for exercise? Oh, I don't really have time to be doing any more than 1 or 2 days a week. I'm like,
yeah. But you got time. You got time for Netflix. You got time for the Tiger King.
Everyone has time.
Yeah.
Everyone. That is the worst excuse ever. And just the benefits you get from it are unbelievable.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about depression, and mental health can be a lot of other things as well. Depression, anxiety, but it's also self-confidence and body confidence.
Yeah.
That has a sort of flow-on effect.
Like I was saying, you look at the lowest level, this biochemistry that is helping you. You look at the immediate tangible effects. It's increasing all of your neurotransmitters. It's increasing serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, right? That's what's going to instantly increase your mood. But then at the higher level, like I was saying, the plans are in place. Imagine you're overweight, you're somebody struggling with weight, and your friends always tend to give you a bit of banter, say, hey, fat boy, So imagine 2 scenarios, right? You haven't exercised in 2 months, and your friends go, hey, fat boy, you're gonna go home and be like, oh my god, I'm so fat. Okay, now say you've been busting your ass in the gym, right? You've been doing something, and the gyms are closed. You've been busting your ass with your home kettlebell workout from the last podcast, right? Your friends go, hey, fat boy, you're like, yeah, I'm fat, but I'm on the road, right?
That's
the
it.
plans are in place. Catch me in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
I'll
a
be
long
calling you fat
process.
boy.
I think a lot of people look for that quick answer, that quick response.
Yeah.
When it comes to weight loss and self-confidence and things, it's a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
You need to embrace it as, no, I'm not trying to lose 10 kilos in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It is, I'm trying to get to the optimal body weight for me and maintain that for the rest of my life.
It's not the end of the journey. It's the journey itself of actually doing it.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna have these benefits.
And there's a lot of this sort of talk in jiu-jitsu as well. There's always this rush to get to the next belt. I need to get to blue belt. I need to get to purple belt. I need to get to brown belt. And it's like, the journey doesn't end at black belt.
Nah.
You continue, you speak to any black belt, and that's when they start to say, oh, no, I've only just started learning now. I feel like I have my black belt in weight training and physical fitness and exercise, but, and it's so true. I'm still learning now, 20 years later, probably more so than I did in the beginning, more open to new ideas. And so it is a lifelong journey. I think you can get caught up in looking at things like weight loss and getting anxious about, I have to lose 20 kilos. Like you say, step by step, kilo at a time, one day at a time. If you just keep showing up,
in place. Yeah.
keep showing up every day, eating the right food, doing a little bit of exercise each day, it might take 3, 4, 5 years to get there. But eventually you're going to get there, and then you're going to maintain it, and then you're going to inspire a million other people to do the same thing.
Exactly. And, that's what I like about the sports that we do. Jiu-jitsu, it's a never-ending pursuit. There's always somebody out there that can choke you out, And even if you're one of the Gracies, Eddie Bravo might come choke you out. But, then you look at powerlifting, right? There's always more weight.
That's it.
You can never lift all the weight in the world, no matter who you are.
Never satisfied.
Yeah, even with yoga, you can always go deeper. You can always go deeper for longer,
There is no end goal to anything.
Nah.
Because...
And it's humbling that there is no end goal, because there's always something else.
I think you do have to set yourself some short-term goals. But again, don't be put off by, this is going to take me years and years and years. I think that the chase, that is actually appealing to me. It's like the longer it takes, the more discipline I need to get there in the end, or to get to a certain point where, I don't know, my learning becomes even more advanced and I'll sort of evolve even more. So yeah, and I think mental health, especially anxiety and things like that, it's very easy just to be overwhelmed by the end goal. There is no end goal.
No, and I got a good analogy. Last time I said, this virus is kind of like Thanos at the moment, right? So if you ever watched the last Avengers movie, fat Thor can kill Thanos, right? But fat Thor couldn't, and it's not because Thor was fat. It's because he was too, his head wasn't in the right place. But by the end of the movie, too much Marvel. Anyway. But yeah, there's one more thing I wanted to touch on, and like how I was saying, inflammation can cause all these problems when it comes to neurotransmitters and having enough serotonin in your brain. But inflammation doesn't only come from your food. Inflammation comes from any kind of stress, right? If you're living a stressful lifestyle, have the stress of losing your job, the stress of a breakup, the stress of getting not knowing what's happening, the existential stress of the world that this coronavirus is in right now. All the stress is going to increase your cortisol and increase your inflammation and cause this this breakdown of tryptophan to serotonin, which I just talked on before, right? So dealing with this with the stress on multiple levels is important. Dealing with it on the high level, the tips that Lou just gave us. Dealing with the low level on the biochemical basis of exercising. Exercise is the only tool that you can instantly use. You're not in control of the world medical system. All these people lost their healthcare and things in America. Like even if you lose your healthcare, you're in control of your own health. You can go outside and exercise, right? And that means you're in control of your physical health and mental health. And obviously at the extremes, you might need some kind of clinical help and things like that, and stuff that I can't comment on because I know nowhere near enough about. But
it's worth noting that, hey, the pharmaceuticals or medication can play a part, but what we're trying to encourage is let's tick off all the other boxes first, or in conjunction with. Give it a go. If you're not an exerciser, just find something fun to do that is some sort of form of exercise, and just see how you feel.
Yeah, and stress, any stress, like this stress that we're experiencing now, is just triggering this fight or flight response. This is, you don't know whether to fight or flight right now because you don't know what to do with yourself, right? But taking it back to exercise, forces you to focus on the now. Exercise and mindfulness, doesn't matter what you do, as long as you're doing it, makes you focus on the now and forget about the unknown of the future. Forget about what we could have done differently in the past. Yeah,
and look, exercise for us is probably different. We're trying to achieve a goal. I'm doing it to stay strong and fit and active for jiu-jitsu, and you're doing it to lift more weight for power competition. Some people are actually utilising exercise purely for mental health, and I know it's almost like when you go for a walk or when you're training in the gym, you throw your earphones on. It's a chance to escape from everything in your life that is making you feel anxious or overwhelmed. It's an hour, it's 30 minutes where you can just escape everything, be in your own mind, have a bit of time to yourself for self-reflection and for personal growth, or to analyze different ways that you can go about your life in a more positive way. But it's just that, it's almost like a time just to switch the brain off and just lose yourself for half an hour, and then come out at the end of it sort of feeling better and get on with your day.
Yeah.
So it's all, there's definitely more reasons for exercise than just physical reasons.
Yeah, it's the little things. And, I was wondering to myself, like, why am I in such a good mood this weekend? On Friday I was listening to some R&B, like just feeling good. Makes you feel good, go outside, exercise. Man, I'm like, shit, like, what a time to be alive. Shit's falling apart, but like, I'm okay, I'm healthy.
In human existence, there is, even with all this shit going on, there has never been a better time to be alive. Even if you're stuck inside your house, you've got access to so much to keep us occupied and so much to keep us happy and the best food, and we don't have to humans, I keep saying this, humans have become super soft, but we need to appreciate that this is the best time to be alive in human existence, even with all this shit going on.
Yeah. And, all the shit that's going on, it's a real thing, it's causing inflammation. And, there's actually been studies in the past that, when you get inflammation, your bacteria in your gut releases this thing called endotoxin, right? It's something that, bacteria releases. Endotoxin, right? You can take some endotoxin or some pro-inflammatory things from people and inject it into somebody that doesn't have any anxiety, and they'll experience anxiety straight away. So it's a causal link that these inflammatory things, which come from stress, which come from a poor diet, can cause anxiety, right? Even there's been an experiment where they transplanted the gut bacteria of an anxious mouse into a non-anxious mouse, and that non-anxious mouse developed anxiety. So your gut bacteria, your diet, your stress, your ability to handle stress, all of this plays a big deal. And everybody's different. Everybody's different in terms of the amount of neurotransmitters in your brain, how you metabolize these different neurotransmitters, and there's a big genetic component to that as well.
So we should probably close off on, I know Lou has given some tips.
Yeah.
A few things that you recommend to people that might be suffering from anxiety or some sort of mental health issue at the moment. Just day-to-day things, what would you?
Day-to-day, doesn't matter what you do, just do it. Just go outside, be active. Do something. Even eating clean, just the act of eating clean makes you feel good about it, right? Like, if you, I know I saw my sister baking some really nice things this weekend. I'm like, damn, looks good, but it's unhealthy, right? If I eat that, I'll feel like, almost bad about it. But, I know I've been eating clean this whole week, stuck at home, eating my sardines. I've been loving it. So, eat right. We'll dive deep into nutrition, what eating right means throughout the course of this podcast. But, eat right, train a little bit. Without that, you're not, there's many things that you can't control. So don't care about what you can't control. But what you can control is your diet and exercise. Take control of that, and then you're giving yourself the best chance.
You got more time than ever now to clean up your nutrition. You're at home. You've got access to stove, oven, everything. So no excuses there. Don't have to get takeaway at lunch when you're at work. You're now not stuck in traffic going to and from work. So there's times to exercise there. My tips would be to get up in the morning, put on some music, do some meditation or some stretching, get out and do some exercise before you start anything else in the day, before anything takes up your time or occupies your headspace. Get it done. Maybe while you're on the walk, give a friend a call, and a positive friend. Get them to talk positive to you. Take care of your gut health, nutrition, get plenty of sleep. Do some meditation maybe of a night before you go to bed. So there's plenty of things that we can do each day to improve our mental health.
Yeah, and I like what you said, get a positive friend. Like, there's so many positive things that you can seek out. Right now, negativity is in abundance. Negative news, negative energies. Forget about it all. Just like try and focus on some positive stuff. We've got some kind of platform here, trying to throw some positivity around.
That's it.
So negativity is in abundance. Focus on the positive. What you can do, what you can control.
Beautiful. I think that wraps up the topic for today. There was we've got something else that we wanted to kick off as well with you.
Yeah.
And we've got a few requests, and it's people sort of wanting myths or facts debunked or proved correct. So we had a couple of questions come in. It's like, okay, Dhiren's going to start debunking some fitness or nutrition myths.
Well, not just me. Both of us will try.
Okay.
So let's see.
The first thing that came in, as far as a debunk, is someone asked, "Is the anabolic window a real thing?"
Is the anabolic window a real thing? Well, you've probably heard this myth that you've got to have a protein shake 20 minutes after your workout. Well, it is a real thing. In the fact that there is some benefit when it comes to timing, but underlying this is getting your total calories, getting your total protein, focusing on that
Throughout the day?
throughout the day is what's going to have much more impact than the timing.
Uh-huh.
The existence of an anabolic window is still controversial. Some say that it's actually more like 2 hours to even 24 hours, depending on that workout you do, and how adapted you are when it comes to training. So, but it's still important to get protein in after your workout. But the 20 minutes, probably a bit of bro science. 2 hours to 24 hours, probably a bit of real science.
Yeah. So you see those people the minute they finish their workout.
Can't talk to you. Need my shake.
Gotta get my shake. Gotta get my protein in.
Yeah.
Probably don't have to be that rush. You've still got time to maybe shower, go home, chill out a bit, make your shake, and then have it then.
Yeah.
But definitely protein shake straight after a workout because of the faster digestibility in food. But it doesn't have to be the minute after a workout, or within 20 minutes even. It could be an hour or two.
It comes to having the foundation and then having all that you can do to optimize it. And if you're doing all that you can do to optimize your training and performance, then maybe having a protein shake within 2 hours of your workout is giving yourself the best chance.
While you're training as well, depends what sort of training you're doing, but it could be super intense. Your digestive system actually slows down while you're training.
Yeah.
And it takes a little while for it to kick off and restart and go again. So it's not like you don't have to go home and slam down 6 eggs or a chicken breast, or your digestive system has slowed down and needs a chance to sort of get back and running again.
Yeah, so get the foundation before you get the tip of the pyramid, the optimization.
Listener questions. Do we have any listener questions or questions from YouTube or social?
So we had a couple. The first one was a comment on one of our YouTube videos, which is from Jinx. Is progressive overloading with reps as effective as overloading with more weight?
Is progressive overload with reps as effective as progressive overload with weights? Jinx sounds like a Bond villain.
Definitely.
Halle Berry was Jinx in James Bond. I think I got that reference. But when it comes to progressive overload, you're going to adapt to whatever kind of training that you're doing. There's a few different ways to look at progressive overload: reps, sets, time under tension, and the weight. After a while, once you adapt it to a certain rep and set range, sometimes the only thing that can really give you the stress or the overload that you need is the weight. So ultimately, increasing the weight is the best form of progressive overload. But in the absence of more weights, there are different things that you can do, just like more volume, doing more sets.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think they actually go hand in hand. You're progressively overloading with more weight to a certain point that you can actually achieve the amount of reps at that weight. Then I would always recommend that adding some more reps and becoming efficient at a higher rep range, then increasing the weight and potentially going back down in reps. So you can sort of periodize it like that. But I think they go hand in hand. Are they as effective? It depends what your goal is.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
And it comes back to the specificity of training, right? Remember the story of Milo of Croton. He's carrying the calf up the mountain and eventually grows into a cow. Right, the weights are increasing. Mm-hmm. But imagine he carried a calf 3 times up the mountain. He's going to get better at carrying a calf up the mountain 3 times rather than carrying a big cow up the mountain.
Yeah.
So it's going to depend on what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, definitely go hand in hand. It depends on your goal, but I think both are effective, but obviously the goal is to add more weight and more reps.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, we had one from Jack Fitz on Instagram, who lives in Birchgrove, New South Wales, apparently. He said,
might give away his whole address.
yeah, better not. He says, should I be having protein before a workout as well as after? I'm trying to gain strength for my AFL season.
Trying to gain strength for AFL season.
Yep.
Before a workout and after, protein shake.
It comes back to the other question, really, of, what's more important? Well, getting your total calories, your total protein should be the most important thing. But, studies have shown that having a protein shake before a workout can produce some good results. You can have a good supply of amino acids during the workout, and, it can almost be as effective as having a protein shake straight after a workout. But those are probably the two best times to have a protein shake, before or after.
How long before?
It depends. Some people can train on a full stomach. Some people can't. Me, I don't like to put anything in, drink anything except for pre-workout really before within an hour of training. Otherwise, I just feel like I can't train properly.
I'm the same. I eat about an hour and a half before a session, and then I don't have anything. I don't have any like in that meal. I have protein in that meal, but I don't have a protein shake before training. I'll eat that meal an hour and a half out. And then a pre-workout half an hour before, and then I'm straight into it. I like to go into training fairly light. I don't like anything sitting on my stomach. I know lots of people like to go in feeling full and
some people have a full meal before training, and I can't really do that. But I like to have a protein shake maybe an hour and a half before training, just so it fills me up so I don't feel hungry during training.
Yep, that's it for questions.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Quotes.
Quote of the week.
Athlete quote. What do you got for us?
I'm keen on this guessing game.
We're never going to get it.
We never got one yet.
No.
So.
Well, I've given you guys an easy one this time. I've trimmed down the quote, but it is, I failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed.
Oh, that's easy.
I failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed.
O.J. Simpson.
He's not an athlete, is he?
O.J. Simpson.
Not an athlete.
That was obviously a joke. But yeah, O.J. Simpson was one of the greatest NFL players of all time.
Yeah.
No, not O.J. Simpson.
The juice, orange juice, man. O.J.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how young Hal is.
Yeah, wow. He just thinks he's a murderer.
Yeah.
Pretty much, actually.
Before he murdered people. I'm going to go Michael Jordan.
Bingo.
Boom.
Dhiren got it.
Yes.
OJ's a heaps better answer though.
MJ over OJ. Yeah, no. What's the live by? Fail until you succeed.
Well
we
done.
all fail. We need to embrace failure, and that's what makes us better.
Yeah, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
That's right.
Yeah, that might have been MJ as well.
I think that is, yeah.
So MJ, and what's our Miyamoto Musashi quote of the week, Dhiren?
So we're doing it a bit differently this week. We're taking a quote out of Musashi's Dokudo. So he actually wrote 2 books, right? Usually we always talk about the Book of Five Rings, which is more about his strategy as a samurai. Mm-hmm. But before Musashi died, he wrote this book.
Lord of the Rings.
No.
Oh.
Dokudo, which means the way of walking alone, right? And another translation, timely, is the path of isolation.
Ooh.
I don't really know any Japanese, but apparently that's another translation of this. And really, it's not really a book. It's just 21 phrases on how to live your life. So after Musashi spent his time chopping people up, he retired to the mountains and became, a philosopher, which is probably my plan too, become a philosopher one day. So
the quote of the day?
The quote of the day, think lightly of yourself and think deeply of the world. I like it. I love it.
I love it too. So many people get, especially in this industry, so many people get wrapped up in themselves so much.
Yeah.
And they don't realise, they don't see the big picture. It's all about the next selfie. It's all about what outfit I'm wearing to the gym. It's all about I've got to match my shoes with my cap while I'm lifting. And it's like, it's so easy to get caught up in you. And it's a little different for me. I think once kids come along, that all goes out the window. You realise that it's not all about you at all.
I don't know. I don't have kids.
No. But you're pretty philosophical. You're not like a typical young sort of...
Yes, I'm pretty philosophical. And, I do think deeply about the world, but I do very much so think lightly about myself, I'm a bit of a clown when it comes to joking around with the friends, and I don't take anything personally. People there's an abundance of haters, there's an abundance of negativity. I got a question for you. You just sold your boat, right?
Yeah.
How much water would it take to sink your boat? It's a trick question.
In the boat?
Exactly. So, all the water in the world can't sink your boat unless it gets in. Just like how all the negativity in the world can't get you down unless you let it get in,
Oh, it's so true. And I think blocking out the negativity, not reading, biggest thing these days is, especially with all the people that have got so much time on social media, the amount of people I see arguing with each other online, it is crazy. Arguing with complete strangers.
Yeah.
We talk about mental health. That's a mental health issue. If you're arguing with a complete stranger about some topic that you don't really give a shit about, you just want to win the argument, that is the definition of insane. I just don't get people that do that.
Yeah. And, it's just not falling into those traps. Think lightly of yourself.
I know, that's it.
But think deeply of the world. Remember the neurotransmitters.
Well, when you think about where these tiny little ants floating on a giant rock, hurtling through space at some ungodly speed, and
humans are insignificant.
We are so insignificant, and we get caught up in the tiniest little bullshit things. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So have a look around. We're all just here to spread love, spread peace, and have fun. Have fun until this journey ends.
Yeah.
Do our best.
That's it, Think lightly of yourself. Always give a damn, but never give up.
I think that's good. That's a good note to end on. The people that left reviews or questions, Jinx and Jack, we're going to grab your details and flick you out a Musashi t-shirt. Anyone else that wants to listen, the podcast is now available on iTunes, Spotify. If you just want the audio version, obviously YouTube if you want to look at our ugly heads.
And also another shout out to somebody that gave us a nice review. Mase Fa'o Sophia. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Just started watching the episodes, but been by Musashi Brothers for a while now. Great content. Keep up the good work.
Marseille, flick us a email
flick us an Instagram DM or an email, and we'll send a t-shirt your way.
Definitely. Thanks for your comments. Thanks everyone for listening. I hope you guys are all surviving in these end times. Not end times, but stay positive. Stay focused on what you're doing throughout the day. Any last words, Dhiren?
Nah, negativity is in abundance. Focus on the positive. Focus on the day by day. Just exercise. It's always the way. It's always the answer.
It's always the way. All right, that might do us here for today. Thanks everyone for tuning in and listening. Until next time, we're out.
Go and get it. Lift some weights.